Hey there, it's Missy Zarbach with The Magnificent Method, and today's Free Advice Friday. Today we're going to cover a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I had a gal write in a couple of weeks ago and ask how she could be more sexy. What did that mean? And so I wanted to give that my best effort, and I really went in, I started to dig, and I started to look at what socially we consider to be sexy, what individually we consider to be sexy, and turns out it's nothing that we thought it was, okay? So the very first thing I want to say is that it has to do with confidence. We think that confident people are sexy. And so do we see that, physically attractive people, they're sexy people? Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we would be in a relationship with that person, or that we would even temporarily be in a relationship with that person, like just hooking up. What we're really attracted to is confidence, inner confidence. And so, by example, I read this case study where there was this beautiful woman that was married to this man, and objectively and by society standards, he wasn't in her league. He wasn't nearly as attractive as her, but he was confident, and he knew how to move a room, and he knew who he was, and he had a lot of strength within himself. And everybody around her kind of was like, "Oh, what are you doing? He's not enough for you." But she was like, "Oh, he's the sexiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't even help myself." And so even an objectively unattractive person can be extremely, extremely sexy because of their inner confidence. And now, inner confidence, it comes from within. And I talk all the time about knowing thyself, and I should probably do a video on how to get to know yourself. But in the interim, you have to know what you are bringing to your own life first. And this has nothing to do with other partners. This has nothing to do with your social settings, your social groups. This has everything to do with you and how you would rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And I'm not talking about your physical anything. I'm talking about, are you funny? Do you have an incredible personality? Do you let stuff just slide when it needs to just slide? Are you drama-free? How do you feel about yourself? What makes you feel like you're a great person and you're a great contribution to the people around you? And this is how you gain self-confidence. This is how you begin to look around and say, no, I am sexy. I am all of these things because of what I'm bringing to the table. Now, if you're not bringing anything to the table, or you're not really evaluating that properly, I ask you to pause the video for a couple of minutes and just write down a list of the things that you find sexy about yourself that have nothing to do with the way that you look. Like, are you an extremely sexy dancer? Do you write erotic literature? Like, what about you are you bringing to that table that you can write? I want you to make a list of 5 to 10 things. And so we're going to come back to that list later. So once again, your validation doesn't come from the outside initially. Initially, it comes from the self. And normally, this begins at about middle school age, between 6th and 9th grade. But if you haven't quite gotten there yet, and you're an adult, what I want to say to you is don't give up on that idea. It can be learned. You can learn to be self-confident. You can learn to be sexy. And so this begins by validating yourself. And so something that the gals in my Magnificent Woman group do is that we talk to our lady parts, and we say, "Hello, you're lovely today. You look so beautiful." And so what this does is it feeds your sexuality, your actual sexuality, good food, good esteem, high esteem. You want to have high esteem for your genitals. And so guys, please, guys, listen to this. It's not the size of the boat, it's the motion in the ocean, you know what I'm saying? So ladies, it's the same for you. And so I know a lot of gals have had kids. I know if you haven't had kids and you have issues, there's a saying that says, "I have stripes because I'm a tiger." And please believe, I have stripes. I do, absolutely. I've had 2 kids, and so I have to really work at the way that I look, my outer appearance, but my inner appearance, I'm solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes very little effort because of all the effort I put into it in the past. And so just like your body, when you first start working out your physical self, it's hard work, but eventually you get to a point where you just need to maintain. And so what I want to look at right now is your inner self and working that inner self out. And so we do things like affirm. And I'm not talking about affirmations where you're like, I'm the greatest person in the world, I'm the greatest person in the world. That's crap. It's woo-woo. It doesn't work. What does work is looking at yourself in the mirror and only pointing out, butt naked, only pointing out the things that you really do love about yourself. And so, do you have great skin? Do you have the best boobs on the planet? You know what I'm saying? I have a girlfriend, she says, I have the best boobs in the room. And she means that. You know what I'm saying? Hi, by the way, sorry about that. But what you look like has really very little to do with how you interact with people and what's going on. Because if you believe that you're beautiful, baby, you are beautiful. And so, so once you get that inner stuff going, so I'm bringing this to the table, I'm very, very funny, or I'm really cool in situations where other people aren't really cool, or I allow things to move past me that have nothing to do with me. I ask myself, is this my business? If it's not my business, I leave it alone. It's a very attractive quality. It really is. Having your shit together, feeling like you have your shit together, you feel like you have your shit together, extremely attractive quality, because you don't have a bunch of mind chatter going on back there. You don't have a bunch of, like, I'm not good enough, I can't. There is something called the critic, and that, you know, in my hypnotherapy practice, that I can remove the critic for you if you hate it. Like, if you can't get that to stop, if you can't figure out how to get that not good enough, you know, track in your brain to stop skipping and stop playing that same track, contact me and we'll take care of it. But what I want to say is that we can tell when somebody's not authentic, when somebody's not authentically confident. And so we call these people like fratty kind of, or some women we would call them stuck up, or when people are assholes, they're putting on a front of being a jerk to make people think that they're confident when these people are wildly insecure. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've all met those kind of people. The girl, she's just stuck up, her nose is in the air, and you know, she might be cute, but we know, like, she's crying herself to sleep at night, every night, because she can't get attention from real, genuine people because she's not a real, genuine person. Same thing with guys. You got a guy that, you know, only wants to hang out with you 1 hour a week, and he's a complete dick that entire time, and, you know, these people are wildly underconfident, wildly. And so birds of a feather flock together. Hang out with real people. And so no one's gonna believe that you really are wonderful and you really are confident and you really are sexy if you don't believe that. And so you have to look for the things that you find are really sexy. And so if I'm gonna, you know, put everything on the table, I'm gonna be very honest. There are a lot of things about myself that I don't think are particularly sexy, but I don't give them my focus. I don't give them the time of day. And so, are there things that I want to change about my body? Of course there are things that I want to change about my body. I've had 2 kids. I work out all the time to try to build and sculpt my body the way that I want it. Does that mean that I'm, you know, like, obsessing over that stuff, or I'm like, you know, have a magnifying glass on stretch marks? You know, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know what I'm bringing to the table, and I focus on what I'm bringing to the table. Aside from that, you want to have this as an area of fun. You want to let this be an area that is light in your life. And so being confident or being sexy has zero to do with being a hard ass or taking yourself super seriously. And you must listen to me because I'm the expert. And, you know, that doesn't work. It's not real. So when you have a situation like that, and you feel like you're in a situation like that where you try to be hard to prove that you're confident, we kind of get into this space where we think that if I change, then nobody is going to take me seriously. And so what I say to that is, there's something called imposter syndrome. And I don't know if you're familiar with imposter syndrome, but pretty much every person on the planet has a moment in their life where they're like, they're going to find me out. They're going to figure me out. They're going to look into my life, and they're going to see that I'm not really all of these things. That affects like upwards of 98% of people. And so if you find that you're fake, you're being hard to try to prove a point, what I want you to do is go ahead and back away from that and back into vulnerability and put yourself on Front Street about it, because what's going to happen is that the people around you are going to be like, oh, look at the changes that you're making, and it's really wonderful that you're joining us here in Real People World, and we're so proud that you were able to do that self-work. Pretending to be a hard ass and pretending that you're sexy or that you have swag or whatever that is, like, People see right through that. And the only people you're really going to attract are people who are equally as shallow or empty, which is kind of sad, you know. Birds of a feather absolutely do flock together, and if you don't want to be in that flock, change your mind and change your life. Simple as that. So once again, we're going to recap. Being confident has nothing to do with the way that you look. Now, if you want to put work into the way that you look, you know, your reflection in the mirror adds on, is the icing on the cake of your confidence. More power to you. I'm on that team too. But you don't have to be a physically attractive person to be an attractive person. That is a fallacy. It's not true. It comes from within, but you have to validate yourself first. You have to be looking at yourself and checking yourself out. Like, if you're walking past the mirror and you're not checking yourself out, lean into that a little bit. What about you do you love? What about you do you absolutely love? What about you do you look around and nobody else has got that? Focus on that. And I will say too, whatever makes you a little bit weird, like whatever makes you a little bit different than the crowd, this is what you should magnify. This is what you should put that magnifying glass on, because it is what makes you sexier or stand out, or it's more delicious. You're more delicious because of those things. Last and not least, no one's going to believe you if you don't believe you. And so if you're putting on a front and you're trying to be a hard ass, and you're trying to be stuck up, or you're trying to, you know, be a jerk to people, male or female, a jerk is a jerk, don't, just stop. Just move away from it immediately. If you know that that's you, and you know that it's you, you know if it's you, just stop. Just stop it. Everybody around you is going to applaud you, and they're not going to think that you're inauthentic, and they're not going to think that you're fake. What they're going to think is that you're maturing, and that you're becoming an adult, and that you're beginning to own your truth. And that's beautiful. You want to know more about that? Ask me out. Okay, so this is Missy Zarbach with the Magnificent Method. Once again, just go inside. Look at what's going on in there. I bet you'll like it. I bet you will. Okay, have a great Friday. Bye.